Okay, let's unpack this. We're doing a deep dive today, focusing just on the technology and product updates from the Q3 2025 earnings call. And specifically, we're looking through the lens of the co-founder and CTO. So none of the usual CEO or CFO perspectives, just pure tech roadmap stuff.
Exactly. We're skipping the broad financial overview. Our mission here is really targeted. Let's quickly get a handle on those core tech advancements. These are the things that are really foundational for their growth and maybe just as importantly for managing risk and keeping things stable.
Yeah, it feels like this isn't just a standard quarterly update. It's more like a look under the hood at how they're engineering this pretty advanced AI for, well, precision and scale.
That's a good way to put it. Precision and scale. And it tells you a lot about how they see the path forward.
Okay, so let's jump right in with probably the biggest technical point they addressed, that model conservatism we saw in parts of Q3. The model's tightened up a bit, right?
Yeah.
Fewer approvals for a time. Can you break down why that happened from the CTO's perspective? What was the tech reason?
Sure. So the CTO was quite clear on this. He acknowledged, yes, the tightening happened partly because of external factors, basically, seeing more risk or volatility out there in the economy. That's the system working as designed, reacting quickly.
Okay, so reacting to the market. That makes sense.
But, and this is the crucial bit, he also said the degree of tightening was, let's say, amplified. It was partly a function of their own model design, specifically something called sampling variance.
Sampling variance. Okay, that sounds technical. Can you translate that for us? What does that mean in practical terms for a credit model like this?
Yeah, it's basically measurement noise. Think of their risk models as constantly taking little snapshots or samples of market data to stay calibrated, to make sure they're pricing risk right.
Okay, like little check-ins.
Exactly, little check-ins. Now, ideally, that small sample perfectly reflects the bigger picture. But with sampling variance, sometimes, just by chance, that little sample isn't quite representative. Maybe it catches a weird blip. And the model, being super sensitive, overreacts to that blip.
Oh, okay. So the model might tighten up more than it really needs to, just based on a slightly skewed data sample.
Precisely. It's like an overly sensitive instrument reacting to static, not just the real signal. Their strength is that speed, reacting faster than older systems. But the downside was it sometimes reacted too strongly to this statistical noise.
So they needed to teach it the difference between sort of real danger signals and just jitters in the data.
That's the core of it. Make the quick reactions smarter, more stable, not throwing the baby out with the bathwater, so to speak.
Right. Okay, so let's get into section one. Taming that volatility. How did they actually fix this? What was the technical solution they rolled out in Q3?
Well, the key fix was a pretty critical improvement they made to their calibration methodology. They essentially figured out a way to reduce that measurement noise, that sampling variance we talked about. The goal was clear. Minimize those unwanted swings in, say, conversion rates that were purely driven by the model's internal calibration quirks, not by actual market shifts,
Yeah.
while crucially still hitting their target credit performance. They want consistency.
Consistency, right. And did they put a number on how much better this new methodology would be? How much volatility reduction are they expecting?
They did, and it's a significant number. They expect this change to cut that unwanted month-to-month volatility. The noise driven by calibration changes by about 50%.
50%. Wow. Okay, half the noise just gone.
That's the projection. Cut that statistical jitter in half.
That's not just a small tweak. That sounds like a major operational improvement.
Oh, absolutely. Think about it from a business perspective for you listening. If your conversion rates are bouncing around less because of internal model stuff, your revenue becomes much more predictable. Forecasting gets easier, planning gets easier. It removes a layer of uncertainty.
So they're making sure that when the model does move, it's because the actual risk environment changed, not just because the algorithm hiccuped on a data point.
That's exactly it. It builds confidence internally and makes the whole platform more resilient. They basically took that moment of conservatism, diagnosed the internal technical root cause, and engineered a fix to make the whole system stronger.
A really solid piece of foundational engineering, then.
Seems like it. Stabilize first, then build higher.
Okay, so section two. Here's where it gets really interesting, I think. With that stability hopefully improved, they turn to speed and efficiency on the core platform, specifically personal loans.
Right. Speed is always critical in this space. Customers want answers fast, and their models need to chew through enormous amounts of data almost instantly. So Q3 saw a big push to cut down latency, the time it takes to price a loan.
How much faster did they get, and what was the technical trick?
The number they gave was reducing end-to-end latency by as much as 30% platform-wide. The how involved parallelizing more of the workflow.
Parallelizing, meaning doing more things at once instead of one after another.
Exactly. Instead of step A, then step B, then step C, they found ways to run more of those steps simultaneously.
Mm.
It shaves off crucial milliseconds.
30% faster. That's pretty substantial. Does faster mean dumber? Any trade-off in model quality?
It doesn't seem so. Actually, the CTO framed it the other way around. He argued that lower latency is what unlocks the ability to use bigger, more complex, and potentially smarter models.
Ah, interesting. How so?
Well, if your system takes too long to run calculations, you're limited in how complex your AI model can be for a real-time decision. But if you speed up the platform by 30%, suddenly you have the processing headroom to deploy more sophisticated algorithms. One that can better leverage their huge data set, what was it, 98 million borrower repayment events?
Yeah, 98 million. That's a massive data set.
So lower latency lets them use more of that data more effectively in the moment, faster and potentially smarter.
Okay, that makes sense. Speed enabling complexity. Now, they also talked about optimizing something called the take rate. Can you define that for us first?
Sure. The take rate is basically the slice of the revenue they keep, the margin or the fee on the loan. It's how they make money, essentially.
Got it. And how are they optimizing that?
Historically, setting that rate might have been based on, pricing grids or simpler rules. Now they've launched a proper machine learning model specifically designed to optimize the take rate dynamically.
Using ML for pricing itself, what's the goal there? Just charge more?
Not necessarily just charge more across the board. It's about being smarter. The CTO said the goal is capturing value that's in relation to the value created for the borrower. So maybe in very competitive segments, they price sharply to win business. But in segments where their risk models give them a clear advantage, where they're creating more value by approving someone others wouldn't, they can capture a bit more margin.
So it's variable dynamic pricing based on competitiveness and the model's edge.
Exactly. Surgical monetization, you could call it.
Yeah.
Making sure their model advantages actually translate to the bottom line effectively.
Okay, that leads nicely into section 3. Applying this advanced AI to actually acquiring customers. Because having smart, fast models is great, but you need to get them in front of the right people. And historically, the sheer complexity of their underwriting models made it hard to use some digital ad channels, right?
Yeah, that's been a challenge. Your AI might be brilliant at underwriting, but it's so complex that telling an external ad platform like Google or Facebook who to target is tricky. Those platforms often need simpler signals or work within specific tech environments.
So bridging that gap was a Q3 focus. They mentioned a couple of technical wins. First, interacting with partner ecosystems.
Right. They built something they called a programming language agnostic framework for data transformation.
Okay, that's a mouthful. Break that down.
Think of it like a universal translator for their AI models. Their complex underwriting rules might be written in one internal specialized language. This new framework allows those rules to be quickly and accurately translated so they can run effectively within any partner system, no matter what programming language or cloud setup that partner uses.
Ah, so the model's intelligence can now travel more easily outside their own walls.
Precisely. It lets them use bigger, more nuanced models for targeting customers through key partners, which apparently wasn't feasible before. More precision in reaching the right people.
Makes sense. And then for their own direct marketing, they developed something quite proprietary, targeting spend based on causal impact to conversion. That sounds different from just optimizing clicks or applications.
It is different
Yeah.
and potentially much more powerful. The CTO contrasted it with the more textbook technique, which usually means optimizing for things correlated with conversion, like getting clicks or getting people to start an application. You hope those turn into loans.
Right, you pay for activity.
But this new method tries to isolate causality. The AI aims to identify and target only the ad spend that causes someone to convert who wouldn't have converted otherwise.
Whoa. Okay, how do they even measure that? That sounds really difficult.
They called it a proprietary technique, so the details are likely secret sauce. But conceptually, it's about finding the true incremental lift from the marketing. Not just paying for conversions that were going to happen anyway, but finding the ones driven specifically by the ad.
And do they see results from this causal approach?
They did, and they were pretty striking. Early results apparently showed a 50% uplift in incremental originations using this new technique compared to the old way for the same amount of ad spend.
50% more actual loans generated just by targeting smarter.
That's what they reported. A 50% efficiency gain in customer acquisition. That's a massive lever to pull. And it highlights this connection, right? Advanced underwriting AI needs equally advanced acquisition AI to really pay off. Aligning those two seems like a big step.
Huge step. Okay, section 4. Quick technological highlights in their newer products. Let's touch on the home equity line of credit, the HELOC product. That world is much messier than personal loans, isn't it?
Oh, definitely. Far less standardized, much more reliant on physical documents, appraisals, manual review. It's a different beast. And that showed when they first launched instant property valuations back in June. The initial automation rate for approvals was tiny, less than 1%.
Less than 1% automated. Wow.
Yeah, it shows you the scale of the manual work involved traditionally. But the progress since then has been incredibly fast.
What were the numbers they shared for Q3 and heading into Q4?
They said automatic approvals grew from that sub 1% level to 10% in September, and then jumped again to about 20% in October.
20%. So from almost nothing to 1/5 automated in just a few months.
Exactly. A 20x increase in the automation rate. It shows their underlying automation tech can learn and adapt quickly, even to these messier processes.
Still, 80% isn't automated. What's the next big hurdle for HELOCs? All that paperwork.
That's the main thing. Getting past simple digital data entry. You've got scanned documents, faxes maybe, blurry PDFs, property photos, handwritten notes. It's complex. So the next phase involves deploying multimodal AI.
Multimodal. Okay, what does that mean for you, the listener? How does that work?
Multimodal AI means the system can understand and interpret information from different types of input all at once. So it's not just reading text fields. It can read an image, like a scanned appraisal document. It can extract text, even if it's messy or handwritten in a margin. It can process structured data alongside unstructured text and images.
So it's like teaching the AI to do the job of a human reviewer looking at a stack of different documents.
That's the idea. Blend text, image, and data processing to make sense of the whole package in real time. The goal is to dramatically reduce that manual review time and push towards a truly automated, industry-leading HELOC product.
Very ambitious. And one final quick win, they mentioned small dollar relief loans.
Yeah, just a brief mention, but significant for the user experience. They launched instant funding for those loans in September. The key metric: most qualified borrowers get the funds in their bank account in about 90 seconds after approval.
90 seconds from approval to cash. That's basically instant.
Pretty much. It just demonstrates that their end-to-end automation, from the decision model right through to the payment rails, is getting incredibly fast and seamless.
Okay, let's wrap this up. So what does this all mean? It feels like Q3 wasn't about flashy new product launches, but deep engineering work. If you look at the numbers, 50% less volatility noise, 30% faster processing, 50% uplift in marketing efficiency, that 20x jump in HELOC automation, it paints a picture of optimization across the board.
I think that's exactly right. The CTO called it a productive foundation building quarter. They tackled internal model stability, significantly boosted the platform's speed and capacity to handle complex data, and crucially, built better bridges to connect their core AI to customer acquisition. Every piece of the process, risk assessment, pricing, acquisition, funding, got faster, smarter, or more reliable.
They're really refining the engine, making the whole machine run better.
Yeah, making the AI not just a decision tool, but a core part of a more resilient, self-improving operating system for lending.
Okay, final thought then.
Well, for you listening, think about the implications. If AI can get this good at assessing risk with such precision, reducing volatility, automating complex tasks like document review, and delivering funds in 90 seconds, how far are we really from a kind of always-on credit infrastructure, where underwriting is essentially persistent, constantly evaluating based on real-time data?
A world of continuous, frictionless credit assessment.
Maybe. And if we get there, driven by this kind of technology, what does that mean? What are the ethical considerations, the societal questions that arise from that kind of constant data-driven financial access or potential exclusion? Definitely something to think about as this tech continues to evolve at such a rapid pace.